You must walk your path alone. Have you ever felt alone, even when surrounded by people? Have you ever wondered why, despite the company of others, your deepest struggles remain yours alone to face? We all walk through life with these moments, silent battles that no one can truly understand or share. But have you ever asked yourself, why does it have to be this way? Why must we face the storm inside of us, alone? There's a simple truth that is echoed through the ages. You must walk your path alone. This is not a punishment, but a power that allows you to truly discover your strength, your purpose, and your peace. It is in solitude that we confront our fears, our flaws, and our deepest truths. But how many of us are truly ready to face the silence within? How many of us avoid it, distract ourselves from it, or look for someone to share it with? We all do this, but the Stoics, the wise ones who lived centuries ago, knew better. They knew that in facing our struggles alone, we find a clarity and power we could never find in the noise of the world. Let me tell you a story. Imagine you're standing on the edge of a cliff, looking out over a vast, empty landscape. The wind howls, and it feels as though the world is trying to push you back. Yet, you stand firm. You take a deep breath, and in that moment of solitude, you realize you are not afraid. The world may roar around you, but you, in your own stillness, have found peace. This is the essence of the Stoic journey. Welcome to Stoic Greetings. On this channel, we dive deep into the wisdom of ancient Stoic philosophy, learning how to walk the path of solitude, control our emotions, and become the best version of ourselves. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Don't miss out on the powerful teachings we have to offer. In this video, we'll explore why walking alone is not a weakness, but the very essence of strength. Stay with us, because what you'll learn here could change the course of your life. Let's begin. The desert within, why the path must be walked alone. We live in a world that is always buzzing. It's a place filled with noise, distractions, and endless demands. Everywhere you go, there are voices calling out to you. People, social media, society, even your own thoughts. But despite all this noise, there's one truth that remains untouched. Your journey is yours alone. It's a hard truth to accept, but once you do, it will change the way you live, think, and feel. Why must the path be walked alone? Why can't we rely on others to help us navigate our struggles? The answer lies in the core of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that true strength and peace come from within. They understood that no one can face your inner battles for you. No one can feel your fears, experience your pain, or wrestle with your doubts the way you can. We often seek to share our burdens with others, hoping they will understand or provide solutions. But the reality is, in those moments of deep struggle, we are alone. And it is in that solitude, not in the crowd, that we find clarity. Imagine, for a moment, being lost in a vast desert. It stretches for miles in every direction, an endless sea of sand. There's no one around, no sign of civilization, just the relentless heat of the sun. The only sound you hear is the wind and the soft crunch of your own footsteps in the sand. At first, you feel fear, even panic. How will you find your way out? How will you survive in such isolation? But as the hours pass, as you walk alone, something strange begins to happen. Your mind clears. The constant noise inside your head quiets down. You start to notice things, the small details of the desert landscape you never would have seen if you were with someone else. The way the sand shifts in the wind, the way the light changes as the sun begins to set. Slowly, you start to understand that this solitude is not your enemy. It's your teacher. In life, we often find ourselves in similar situations. We are lost in the desert of our own minds, overwhelmed by fear, doubt, and anxiety. But it is only when we are alone, without distractions, that we can truly face these emotions and understand them. This is the wisdom of Stoicism, to confront life's challenges without relying on others to carry you, to find strength in solitude rather than in the company of others. The Stoics believe that in solitude, we find the true essence of who we are. It is only when we strip away the external noise and distractions that we can discover our own inner strength. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoic philosophers, understood this concept deeply. He often wrote in his journals about the importance of solitude and the power of controlling one's inner world. In his meditations, he reminds himself that the key to peace lies not in external circumstances, but in the way we respond to them. He writes, "You have power over your mind, not outside of it. Realize this, and you will find strength." This is the essence of the Stoic path. It is not about waiting for the world to change or seeking validation from others. It's about looking inward, understanding your own mind, and controlling your responses to life's challenges. But let's not romanticize solitude. It's not an easy path. Being alone means facing your own demons, the parts of yourself that you'd rather ignore. It means confronting your fears, your weaknesses, your deepest regrets. It's uncomfortable. It's painful. But it is through this discomfort that we grow. Just like a plant grows stronger when its roots are forced to dig deeper into the soil, we grow stronger when we face the harshness of life without relying on others to shield us. The path of Stoicism is not one of escape. It's not about shutting yourself off from the world or pretending that you don't need anyone. It's about understanding that while others may walk alongside you, the true work of growth, change, and inner peace happens in solitude. The Stoics believe that by walking alone, you free yourself from the need for external validation. You stop relying on the approval of others, and instead, find your worth within yourself. This is a powerful shift. The famous Stoic philosopher Epictetus often spoke about the importance of understanding what is within our control and what is not. He said, "We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them." In other words, you cannot control the people around you, the events that happen in your life, or the challenges you face. But you can control your mind, your emotions, and your reactions. This is the essence of walking the path alone. When you rely on others for validation, when you expect them to change the way you feel, you give away your power. You let others decide your worth. But when you take full responsibility for your thoughts and emotions, you reclaim that power. This is why the Stoics emphasized the importance of self-mastery. They knew that true freedom comes from within. It's not about avoiding pain or difficulty. It's about understanding that pain is a part of life, and it is through facing it alone that we learn to rise above it. When we stop running from our struggles and face them head-on, we find that we are capable of much more than we ever imagined. Think of it this way. When you are walking alone, you are forced to rely on your own strength. There's no one to lean on, no one to pick you up when you fall. And yet, when you learn to trust yourself, when you develop the inner fortitude to keep moving forward, you discover a power that you never knew you had. You become unshakable. The external world may be full of chaos, but inside, you are at peace. This is the essence of Stoicism, the ability to remain calm and steady, no matter what life throws at you. But walking the path alone doesn't mean you're disconnected from the world. It doesn't mean you reject others or become cold and distant. In fact, the Stoics believe that we should live in harmony with others. But that harmony begins with understanding ourselves first. When we walk the path of self-mastery, we are better equipped to help others, to support them without relying on them. We can love without attachment, give without expectation, and live without the need for constant approval. So why must the path be walked alone? Because it is in solitude that we learn who we really are. It is in facing our inner battles without distraction that we discover our true strength. When we learn to walk alone, we become free. We no longer rely on the approval of others, the comforts of the world, or the distractions that pull us away from our true purpose. Instead, we stand firm in our own power, ready to face whatever life throws our way. And in that freedom, we find peace. This is the Stoic Way. It is a path of solitude, but it is not a lonely path. It is the path to true self-mastery, to inner strength, and to a life of purpose. And while it may be difficult, it is the only path that leads to true freedom. So, if you are ready to walk alone, to face the challenges of life head-on, you will find that the journey is worth it. You will find strength you never knew you had, and in the end, you will be free. The weight of the self, facing the inner storm without distraction. There are moments in life when the noise around us becomes too loud. It's the noise of the world, the distractions, the expectations of others, and the constant flow of information. We are taught to rely on the external, to seek approval, to follow trends. But, in all this chaos, what do we lose? We lose the connection with the one person who matters most, ourselves. The Stoics knew this all too well. They understood that in order to truly master ourselves, we must first face the storms inside us. These storms are not caused by the world. They are created by our own reactions, our emotions, our desires, and our fears. The world can be chaotic, yes, but it is our response to it that creates inner turmoil. Imagine for a moment the calm of a still lake. Its surface is smooth, untouched by wind or storm. Now, picture a stone being thrown into that lake. The water ripples, creating waves that disturb the peace. This is how our emotions work. When we react, whether out of anger, fear, or desire, we create ripples in our minds. These ripples cloud our judgment, distort our perception, and ultimately lead us away from the calm we seek. But here's the catch. The world will always throw stones at us. The challenges will come. The chaos will find its way into our lives. It is inevitable. What matters, however, is how we respond. Will we let the waves of anger, fear, or frustration control us? Or will we remain like that still lake, unmoved by the turbulence around us? The Stoics taught us that the first step in mastering our emotions is to recognize that we are not our emotions. Emotions are natural, but they are not our identity. They are temporary, like the ripples in the water. Our true nature is something deeper, something that remains unshaken by the storms of life. This is what the Stoics referred to as the inner fortress. Think about the last time you lost control of your emotions. Perhaps someone insulted you, or something didn't go your way. What did it feel like? Most likely, it felt like a wave of heat rushing through you. Anger, frustration, disappointment, they all flood your mind in that moment. But in the very moment you react, you are no longer in control. Your emotions are dictating your actions, your thoughts, and your responses. And this is where the Stoic wisdom shines. The Stoics believe that we have the power to control our responses. We have the ability to choose how we react to external events. It's easy to think that we can only control our actions, our words, or our decisions. But the Stoics took it a step further. They believed that we can control our thoughts and emotions. This may sound impossible, but it's not. It's a matter of training the mind. The first step in this training is awareness. You must be aware of your emotions as they arise. When someone cuts you off in traffic, when you receive bad news, or when someone treats you unfairly, how do you feel? Do you feel anger building inside you? Do you feel that urge to lash out, to defend yourself, or to complain? Recognize it. This is the beginning of self-mastery. Once you recognize the emotion, the next step is to question it. Why are you feeling this way? Is it justified? Is this emotion helping you or hindering you? Often, We let our emotions dictate our actions without even realizing it. But if we pause and examine them, we can see that many of our emotional reactions are based on false beliefs or irrational fears. For example, let's say you're angry because someone criticized you. You might feel like defending yourself, retaliating, or harboring resentment. But if you step back and examine the situation, you may realize that the criticism wasn't personal. It was just one person's opinion. Or perhaps the criticism was even constructive, meant to help you improve. In that case, your anger is not based on truth. It's based on an emotional reaction to a situation that doesn't deserve such a response. This is where the Stoics teach us the power of rational thinking. By questioning our emotions, we can shift our perspective. Instead of reacting impulsively, we can choose to respond with calmness and reason. We can choose to let go of the emotional grip that holds us and act from a place of inner peace. Another key lesson the Stoics offer is the idea of dichotomy of control. This is the understanding that there are things in life we can control and things we cannot. We cannot control the actions of others, the weather, or even many of the circumstances we face. But we can control our reactions. We can control how we respond to these events, how we think about them, and how we allow them to affect us. This understanding is liberating. It allows us to focus only on what we can control and to let go of the rest. Think about a storm. It can rage outside, with fierce winds and heavy rain. But if you are inside, you are safe. You are in control of your space. The same is true for your inner world. The external events in life may be chaotic, but you can create a calm and peaceful inner space. You can choose to respond to the storm with tranquility, not panic. You can choose to be the calm in the middle of the storm. This is not easy. It takes practice. It takes discipline. But the rewards are immense. When you learn to master your emotions, you become the master of your life. You no longer react blindly to every external event. You no longer let anger, fear, or frustration control your actions. Instead, you become the one who chooses how to respond, and in doing so, you regain your power. Let's take another example. Imagine you're facing a difficult situation at work. Maybe you're under pressure, or maybe your boss is upset with you. It's easy to feel stressed, anxious, or even defeated. But the Stoics would advise you to pause and take a step back. Ask yourself, what can I control in this situation? Can I control my boss's actions? No. Can I control the outcome of this project? Not entirely. But what can I control? I can control my response. I can choose to stay calm, to focus on the task at hand, and to do my best. I can control my attitude and my effort, even if the external situation is beyond my control. This is where true power lies, not in the ability to control everything around us, but in the ability to control ourselves. The Stoics believed that our thoughts, actions, and emotions were within our control, and by mastering them, we could navigate any storm with grace and wisdom. The key to overcoming the inner storm is not to avoid it, but to confront it head-on. You will face fear, you will face anger, and you will face grief. But it is in these moments of hardship that you have the greatest opportunity to grow. It is in these moments that you can practice self-control, patience, and resilience. To walk the Stoic path is to learn how to weather the storms of life without being swept away. It is to become like the still lake, unshaken by the winds that blow across its surface. This is the essence of inner peace, not the absence of storms, but the ability to remain undisturbed by them. So, the next time you feel that wave of emotion rise within you, whether it's anger, fear, frustration, or sadness, take a moment to pause. Recognize it for what it is, a temporary storm, a passing moment. Don't let it control you. You have the power to control your reaction, to stay calm, and to find peace in the midst of chaos. This is the true power of Stoicism, not to escape the storms of life, but to face them with courage, reason, and unwavering inner strength. By mastering our emotions, we free ourselves from the chaos of the world, and in doing so, we become the calm in the storm. Brotherhood in the void, the paradox of shared solitude. Imagine this. You are walking through a desolate wilderness. The wind is cold, the terrain is harsh, and the weight of your journey seems endless. But suddenly, you hear footsteps. You turn, and there they are, fellow travelers, walking beside you on the same road, sharing the same struggle. They're not your saviors. They're not here to carry your burdens. They're just like you, alone in their thoughts, alone in their battles, but not alone in their experience. You're both moving toward the same destination, yet each of you walks in solitude, in your own mind, your own heart. This paradox, the idea that you can walk alone, even when surrounded by others, is one of the core principles of Stoicism. It may seem strange at first. How can we walk alone if we are not truly alone? How can we say we must face our challenges alone, when life is full of people, full of interactions, full of relationships? But this is where Stoicism reveals its deepest truth. Solitude is not about being isolated from others. It's about being so connected to your own values, your own mind, and your own spirit that you are not dependent on anyone or anything for your peace. You stand strong in the face of life's storms, not because you reject the presence of others, but because you do not need them to define you or to make you whole. The Stoic, in their journey, understands that the world is full of distractions, false comforts, and fleeting pleasures. People can help, yes, but true peace, true strength, comes from within. It comes from the ability to be with yourself in silence, to find meaning in your own heart, and to walk your path even when no one else understands. Your true companions on this journey are your thoughts, your virtues, and your commitment to remain unmoved by external circumstances. In this sense, Stoicism teaches us a powerful lesson about relationships. We are not to turn away from others, but we are not to rely on them for our happiness either. We don't need to seek approval, validation, or praise from the world. The Stoic path is about seeking inner strength, and then, in turn, sharing that strength with others, without expecting anything in return. This is the paradox of shared solitude. You walk alone, but you are never truly alone. You connect with others in a deeper way, because you are no longer seeking something from them. You are not looking for someone to make you happy, to make you feel worthy, or to fill the emptiness you once believed you had. Instead, you walk beside them, knowing that they too are walking their own path, carrying their own burdens, and struggling in their own way. You connect not through need, but through shared understanding and mutual respect for each other's journey. Consider the Stoic philosopher Epictetus, who once said, "We are not disturbed by what happens to us, but by our thoughts about what happens." In this sense, our relationships are not defined by the actions or words of others, but by our own responses to them. When you truly understand this, you realize that your peace does not depend on anyone else. It is a gift that you give to yourself, and it is something you carry with you, whether alone or in the company of others. But how do we balance this idea of being alone with the reality of needing connection? It's a delicate balance, one that requires wisdom and self-awareness. The Stoics did not reject companionship. They simply recognized that true companionship must be built on mutual respect and understanding, not on dependency. They understood that the best relationships are those in which both people are independent, self-sufficient, and strong in their own right. Only then can they come together, not to fill the void within each other, but to share in the journey of life together. This brings us to the concept of the cosmopolitan, a term used by Stoics to describe someone who sees themselves as a citizen of the world. The Stoic philosopher, Marcus Aurelius, emphasized this idea in his writings, urging us to recognize that we are all part of the same larger whole. We are all on this shared journey, walking through life as individuals, but also as part of a greater community. What is not good for the beehive, he wrote, cannot be good for the bees. This reflects the Stoic view that we are all interconnected, that our actions affect others, and that our sense of brotherhood arises from our recognition of this shared human experience. Yet, even as we acknowledge this interconnectedness, we must remember that each of us walks our path alone. We cannot rely on others to solve our problems, to give us meaning, or to provide us with happiness. These are things we must create for ourselves. And when we are strong in ourselves, when we have cultivated our inner virtues, we are better able to walk alongside others, offering them support and strength without needing anything in return. The challenge of walking alone while sharing in the journey with others is at the heart of Stoicism. It's not about rejecting the world or running from relationships. It's about understanding that our peace, our joy, and our fulfillment come from within. When we are grounded in our own values and principles, we are no longer at the mercy of external circumstances. We do not look to others for validation or comfort, because we have already found these things within ourselves. And it is from this place of inner strength that we can truly give to others, not from a place of need, but from a place of abundance. This is the heart of Stoic brotherhood, to walk alone in our individual paths, but to understand that we are all part of the same human journey. In this shared solitude, we find our true power. And it is only when we are strong in ourselves, when we have cultivated the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance, that we can truly connect with others in a meaningful and fulfilling way. We are not just walking the path for ourselves. We are walking it for the benefit of the world around us, offering our strength to those who need it, without expecting anything in return. So, remember this. The Stoic path is not one of isolation, but of purposeful solitude. It is in our solitude that we discover our true strength. And it is from this place of strength that we can walk alongside others, offering them not the empty promise of happiness or fulfillment, but the unwavering support of a true companion on the journey of life. In the end, we are all alone, and yet we are all in this together. And it is in this shared understanding, this brotherhood in the void, that we find our deepest connection with the world and with each other. The death of destructive emotion, mastery over the inner beast. We all know the feeling. The anger that rises in your chest, sudden and fierce. The jealousy that eats away at your soul, turning your thoughts into shadows. The fear that locks you in place, stopping you from moving forward. These emotions, anger, envy, fear, and grief, are like wild animals inside us, constantly threatening to break free and take control of our lives. But what if I told you that these emotions don't have to control you? What if I told you that you could master them instead? Stoicism teaches us that emotions, when left unchecked, are our greatest enemies. They cloud our judgment, distort our thinking, and lead us to act in ways that we later regret. They can drag us into the depths of despair, or push us to make decisions that we know are wrong. The Stoics, however, had a different view. They didn't believe that emotions were something to be eliminated completely. After all, we are human. They believed that emotions, when governed by reason, could become a source of strength. Let's begin with anger, one of the most destructive emotions we face. How many times have you been angry and said things you didn't mean? How many times has anger led you to actions that you later regretted? Anger is like a fire. It can consume everything in its path if not controlled. But the Stoics believe that anger, like all emotions, is a choice. It's not the situation that causes anger, it's our response to it. Seneca, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "Anger, if not checked, is a fire that burns the soul." When you feel anger rising inside you, take a moment to pause. Breathe deeply. Ask yourself, Is this anger justified? Is it worth my peace of mind? In many cases, you'll realize that anger is simply a reaction to something outside your control. And when you accept that some things are beyond your influence, the power of anger begins to lose its grip. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius, another Stoic philosopher, wrote in his Meditations, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. Now, let's talk about envy. It's a silent thief, stealing your joy and peace of mind, making you look at others and wish for their lives. Envy has no place in the life of a Stoic. It poisons the soul, turning your thoughts toward what you lack rather than what you have. We compare ourselves to others, and in doing so, we forget that everyone has their own unique path, their own struggles, their own blessings. To be envious is to reject the reality of your own life. Epictetus, one of the leading Stoics, said, "If you want to be rich, do not add to your money but subtract from your desire." The key to overcoming envy is to focus on what you can control, your own desires. When you stop looking at others and start appreciating what you already have, envy loses its power over you. Instead of wishing you had what others have, begin to cultivate gratitude for what you possess. You'll find that the more you practice this, the less you'll feel the need to compare yourself to others. And then there's fear. Fear is perhaps the most paralyzing of all emotions. It holds us back from taking risks, from seizing opportunities, and from becoming who we are truly meant to be. Fear convinces us that we are not strong enough, not capable enough, and not worthy of success. But fear is an illusion. It is a product of our own thoughts, not the reality of the world around us. As the Stoic philosopher Seneca once said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Whenever you feel fear creeping in, ask yourself, what is the worst that could happen? Is it truly as bad as your mind makes it out to be? Most of the time, we fear what we don't understand, and in doing so, we give that fear more power than it deserves. The Stoics taught that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Fear is natural, but it doesn't have to control your actions. Recognize it, acknowledge it, and then choose to move forward anyway. Grief, the final destructive emotion we will discuss, is perhaps the most difficult to overcome. Grief, the pain of losing someone or something we love, can seem overwhelming. It makes us feel as though the world has stopped turning and that nothing will ever be the same again. But here, too, the Stoics offer guidance. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight. Grief is inevitable, but suffering from it is not." The Stoics believe that we cannot avoid loss in life. Everyone will experience it at some point, whether through death, separation, or disappointment. But we can choose how we respond. Rather than allowing grief to consume us, we can embrace it as part of the natural order of life. Instead of resisting it, we can learn from it. Grief reminds us of the preciousness of what we have, and in that way, it can lead us to a deeper appreciation of life itself. But overcoming these destructive emotions is not something that happens overnight. It takes practice. It takes discipline. And it takes a commitment to living according to the Stoic principles of self-control and reason. The Stoics believed that it was possible to train the mind to be calm, to be focused, and to be resilient in the face of adversity. But like any skill, it takes time and effort to develop. Every time you feel anger, envy, fear, or grief, you are presented with an opportunity, a chance to practice self-mastery. With each emotion that arises, ask yourself, how can I respond with wisdom and reason? Take a step back, breathe, and remember that you are not a slave to your emotions. You are the master of them. You have the power to control how you react, and in doing so, you have the power to shape your life. By confronting your emotions, understanding them, and choosing to respond with reason rather than passion, you will find that you are no longer ruled by them. Instead, you will become a person who is guided by virtue, by wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. You will become a Stoic. And remember, this is not an easy path. It's not a path that everyone will choose to walk, but it is the path of true strength. It is the path that leads to inner peace, clarity, and freedom. The Stoics believe that life is full of challenges, but those challenges are the very things that help us grow. So when destructive emotions arise, and they will, meet them with calm, meet them with reason, and let them teach you what it means to live a life of true strength. Anchored in logos, reason is your only companion. In a world that seems to thrive on chaos, noise, and distraction, there is one companion that remains constant: reason. Stoicism teaches us that, when walking the solitary path of self-mastery, reason must be our only guide. But what does it mean to be anchored in logos? What does it mean to let reason, and not emotions or fleeting desires, lead the way? The Stoics believe that reason, logos, is not just a tool to navigate life. It is the very essence of our nature as human beings. If we are to find true peace, true strength, and true freedom, we must align ourselves with this rational order that governs the universe. In fact, they argued that our capacity for reason is what separates us from animals. While the world around us may be unpredictable, wild, and outside of our control, we alone have the ability to reason, to think clearly, and to make choices that reflect our higher nature. This is what the Stoics meant by walking the path alone. We are alone in our thoughts, in our choices, and in our ability to control how we respond to life's challenges. But let us be clear, this does not mean we must cut ourselves off from others. The Stoics, while emphasizing solitude, understood the importance of community. However, in moments of hardship, in moments of true struggle, we must turn to our inner selves, to our reason, for guidance. No external voice can tell you what is right for you. No external force can make your decisions for you. At the end of the day, it is you who must face your choices, and it is your reason that will either elevate you or drag you down. Imagine you are standing in front of a difficult decision. Perhaps you just received bad news. Perhaps you've experienced failure. Perhaps your emotions are running wild. Your heart beats faster, your mind races, and the urge to react impulsively feels overwhelming. But in that moment, ask yourself, can you pause? Can you step back from your emotions? This is where reason becomes your anchor. The Stoics were masters at this practice. They believed that by using reason, we could step outside of our immediate emotional responses and make decisions that align with our true values and purpose. The great Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we cannot control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. This is where reason becomes not only our guide but our strength. When faced with hardship, we have the choice to let our emotions take over, or we can use reason to assess the situation and decide on the best course of action. The ability to pause, to think clearly, and to align ourselves with logic and virtue is what separates us from the chaos of the world. One of the most profound teachings of Stoicism is the idea of acceptance. It's not about submitting to life's challenges passively. It's about understanding that there are things beyond our control. While it is natural to feel anger, fear, or sadness when things go wrong, the Stoic practice is to acknowledge those emotions, but not to let them dictate our actions. We are encouraged to use reason to see beyond the immediate feelings and to recognize that, while we cannot change the past, we can control how we respond to it. This understanding brings peace. When we are anchored in logos, we find ourselves living in harmony with the natural order. The universe is full of suffering, yes, but it is also full of beauty, opportunity, and growth. Every hardship we face is an opportunity to practice virtue, to refine our character, and to become the person we are meant to be. This is not a passive process, but an active one. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, often reflected on this in his personal writings. He would remind himself that the obstacles in his life were not there to harm him, but to challenge him to become better. Let us consider Seneca, another great Stoic. He often spoke of the power of reason in times of adversity. In his letters, Seneca teaches that our mind is like a garden. It requires constant care and attention. Without the cultivation of reason, it can quickly become overrun with weeds of destructive emotions, fear, and negativity. Just as a gardener tends to his plants with patience and care, so too must we tend to our minds. This practice is not one of avoidance, but of deliberate choice. We choose to approach life with wisdom, with thought, and with understanding. The Stoics did not shy away from life's difficulties, but instead, they saw them as opportunities for growth. Zeno of Citium, the founder of Stoicism, taught that the path to happiness was through mastery over one's mind. He believed that emotions like anger, fear, and jealousy were not natural, but learned responses to external events. The Stoics believed that it is not the events themselves that cause us suffering, but our judgment of them. By cultivating reason and choosing how we perceive events, we can free ourselves from unnecessary pain. Now, let us explore how reason can be applied in our daily lives. Take a moment to think about the last time you felt frustrated, angry, or overwhelmed. How did you react? Perhaps you lashed out in anger, maybe you withdrew in fear, or maybe you felt helpless. In each of these moments, reason could have been your anchor. By stepping back, even for just a moment, and assessing the situation through the lens of logic, you might have found a different response, one that was more aligned with your true values. Reason is not about suppressing emotions, but about understanding them. It is about recognizing that while we cannot control what happens to us, we can control how we respond. It is about choosing to act in accordance with virtue, not impulse. This is the essence of Stoic practice, to face the world with a clear mind, to choose our actions with wisdom, and to remain steadfast in the face of challenges. As you continue on your journey of self-mastery, remember this: your mind is your greatest asset. Cultivate it with care, for it will guide you through the storms of life. When you are anchored in logos, you can face any challenge with calm, clarity, and purpose. You are not at the mercy of your emotions, your circumstances, or the opinions of others. You are the master of your own thoughts, and in this mastery lies your true strength. In the end, it is reason that will lead you to freedom. It is through reason that you will find your path in the world, regardless of the noise that surrounds you. So, as you walk your solitary path, remember that you are never truly alone. You have within you the power of logos, the power of reason to guide you. Trust in it, and let it lead you to a life of peace, purpose, and strength. The fire that does not burn fortitude in isolation. Imagine standing at the center of a storm. The wind howls fiercely, the rain strikes like arrows, and the earth beneath you trembles. Around you, chaos reigns, and the world seems determined to break you. Yet, there you stand, unshaken, calm, and steady. Why? Because you have the fortitude to endure. Fortitude is the quality that defines those who walk alone. It is the ability to endure hardship, to stand firm in the face of adversity, and to keep moving forward when the world seems determined to break you. Fortitude is not something that is handed to you. It is forged in the fires of hardship, shaped by the cold winds of solitude, and tested by the storms of life. It is what enables you to rise again after every fall, to keep going when you want to quit, and to maintain your inner peace, even when everything around you is in turmoil. This idea is at the core of Stoic philosophy. The Stoics believed that true strength comes from within, and that strength is built through the cultivation of virtues like wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. But above all, it is fortitude. the ability to endure and remain steady in the face of hardship that holds everything together. What makes this virtue so important? It is the very thing that allows us to face the darkest moments of our lives with grace. In a world that constantly tries to push us to our limits, fortitude becomes the shield that protects us from the destruction of despair and fear. It is what enables us to rise above our circumstances, to remain grounded, and to maintain our dignity, no matter how fierce the storm becomes. One of the greatest examples of fortitude in Stoic philosophy comes from the life of Epictetus, a former slave who became one of the most revered philosophers of his time. Epictetus was born into slavery, lived through incredible suffering, and was forced to endure physical pain, loss, and humiliation. Yet, despite the hardships he faced, Epictetus never lost his inner peace. He never allowed the cruelty of his circumstances to define him or shake his belief in the power of the human spirit. His life was a testament to the strength that can be found in solitude, in enduring suffering with grace, and in maintaining a sense of purpose no matter what challenges arise. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In this simple yet profound statement, he reminds us that our response to adversity is what truly defines us. It is not the pain or the suffering that breaks us, it is our reaction to it. When we face hardship, we have a choice. We can either let it consume us, or we can rise above it, using it as an opportunity to strengthen our resolve and deepen our understanding of ourselves. But how do we cultivate this fortitude? How do we build the inner strength to endure whatever life throws our way? The answer lies in accepting the reality of suffering, in embracing it as a natural part of the human experience, and in using it as a tool for growth. The Stoics believed that suffering is not something to be avoided, but something to be embraced and learned from. They knew that the greatest opportunities for growth often arise from the most difficult challenges. In his writings, Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic emperors, often spoke about the importance of accepting the difficulties of life with a calm and rational mind. He wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This powerful statement reminds us that obstacles are not things to be feared or avoided, but opportunities for growth. Every challenge we face is a chance to strengthen our fortitude, to practice our virtues, and to become better versions of ourselves. Fortitude, however, is not about mindlessly enduring suffering without purpose. It is about choosing how we respond to hardship. It is about maintaining a clear mind, even in the darkest of times, and using our reason to guide us through the storm. When we face adversity, the Stoics encourage us to ask ourselves, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this experience? Rather than allowing our emotions to control us, we should strive to see things as they truly are, impersonal, transient, and ultimately insignificant in the grand scheme of things. To build fortitude, we must first cultivate self-awareness. We need to understand our own emotions and reactions, and learn to separate them from the events happening around us. The Stoics believe that our emotions, especially destructive ones like anger, fear, and envy, are the result of our own judgments. When we judge something to be bad or unfair, we become angry. When we judge something to be threatening, we become fearful. But these judgments are not truths. They are simply our perceptions of the world, and they can be changed. By practicing mindfulness and focusing on our thoughts, we can learn to detach ourselves from the emotional chaos that often surrounds us. We can choose to see things with a clearer perspective, to respond with reason instead of impulse, and to act in a way that reflects our true values and purpose. This is the essence of Stoic fortitude, the ability to remain grounded and calm, even in the midst of turmoil. It's also important to remember that fortitude is not about being invincible. It is about being resilient, about being able to bend without breaking, to withstand the storm without losing our inner peace. A tree does not break in the wind because it bends with it. Similarly, we must learn to bend with the winds of life, to adapt and adjust without losing our core sense of self. In the face of suffering, the Stoics encourage us to practice a more fatty, the love of fate. This means accepting whatever happens to us, good or bad, as part of the natural order of things. Instead of resisting what life throws our way, we embrace it, knowing that it is all part of our journey. By accepting our fate, we are freed from the weight of resentment, fear, and regret. We become more like the steady tree, rooted in the earth, able to withstand whatever storms come our way. Fortitude also requires patience. In a world that values quick fixes and instant gratification, it can be difficult to cultivate the patience required to endure hardship over time. But true strength comes not from avoiding pain, but from enduring it with grace and perseverance. As the Stoics often said, the obstacle is the way. Every challenge, every hardship, is an opportunity to practice patience, to strengthen our will, and to grow in virtue. When we practice fortitude, we are not simply enduring for the sake of enduring. We are becoming stronger, wiser, and more resilient with each trial we face. The fire that does not burn us is the fire that refines us, shaping us into the best version of ourselves. The Stoic path is not an easy one, but it is the path that leads to true freedom, freedom from fear, freedom from destructive emotions, and freedom from the chaos of the world. It is the path of the lone wolf, the path of the Stoic warrior, who faces the storm not with despair, but with a quiet, unshakable strength. In the end, the greatest fire is the one that burns within us. It is the fire of fortitude, the fire that will not be extinguished by the winds of life. It is the fire that will carry us through the darkest times, the fire that will lead us to victory over our own limitations. And it is this fire that we must cultivate within ourselves, day by day, moment by moment, until it becomes an eternal flame, shining bright and steady in the face of any storm. So, when the winds of life begin to howl, when the storms of hardship threaten to break you, remember this: you are the fire that does not burn. You have the fortitude within you to endure, to rise above, and to remain unshaken. Embrace the storm, embrace the solitude, and walk your path with the quiet confidence that you are stronger than you ever knew. The mountain of the mind climbing without applause. You and I, we've come far on this path. And if you've walked it with open eyes, open heart, and a will of iron, you've started to notice something. No one is clapping for you. And that's exactly how it should be. You see, the Stoic life is not about praise. It's not about being seen, celebrated, or admired. It's about rising, slowly, quietly, day after day, becoming better in silence. Like a mountain being carved by the wind, not in a loud moment of glory, but through years of quiet force. Many people wait to be noticed before they move. They want the world to cheer them on, validate them, tell them they're doing great. But the truth is, the climb that matters the most, the one that shapes your soul, is the one you do without anyone watching. That's the mountain of the mind. It doesn't reward you with likes. It doesn't care about followers. It doesn't offer a medal at the top. What it offers is something no applause can ever match: self-respect, inner power, the kind of peace that doesn't shake when the world turns its back on you. We live in a time where people confuse noise with progress, where people would rather post about their struggle than actually go through it. They want comfort, recognition, and quick rewards. But a Stoic knows better. A Stoic walks upward, even when it's dark, even when the winds of doubt hit them from every side. Why? Because they don't climb to be seen. They climb to become. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Just that you do the right thing. The rest doesn't matter." He didn't say, "Do the right thing and wait to be praised." No. He meant exactly what he said. The rest doesn't matter. Whether the world notices or not, whether your efforts are admired or ignored, your duty is the climb. And your reward is in the doing. Have you ever noticed how the strongest people you know rarely talk about their pain? How they don't boast about their scars? That's not because they don't hurt. It's because they've learned that true strength is quiet. Stoics don't show off their battles. They carry them like armor, not decoration. There will be days when you feel invisible. Days when you put in the work, face the pain, hold your tongue, keep your promise, fight the urge, and no one sees it. No one thanks you. No one even knows. And those days are gold. That's where the real growth happens. When you act rightly, not because of who's watching, but because you are watching. Because you know who you're becoming. Because you are climbing your own mountain, and your reward is found in each hard step. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." And craving attention is one of the most subtle poisons there is. It makes you climb for the wrong reasons. It makes you stop when no one's looking. But a Stoic learns to crave less. Less noise. Less praise. Less need. Only the climb remains. And the climb is hard. Some days, you'll want to turn around. You'll look back at the comfort you left behind, the easy path, the familiar distractions, the applause you once had. But remember this. Every time you refuse to quit, every time you take one more step in silence, you are separating yourself from the ordinary. You are choosing excellence over ease. You are choosing character over comfort. The Stoics believe that virtue is the only good. Not comfort, not wealth, not fame, just virtue. Doing what is right, no matter how hard, no matter who's watching. That's why Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. Because improvement is often misunderstood. Because those who climb quietly are often seen as strange by those still sitting at the base. But you are not one of them anymore. You've tasted the discipline of silence. You've learned that your mind is a mountain, and your thoughts, your choices, your actions, they're the path up. This path is not straight. It's not easy. Sometimes you will slip. Sometimes you will fall. But the Stoic doesn't measure success by perfection. He measures it by effort, by direction, by how many times he rises again. So rise. Every morning, rise like a mountain. Steady, silent, strong. Don't look for applause. Don't wait for praise. Your approval must come from within. Your enemy is not failure, it is forgetfulness. Forgetting your values. Forgetting your power. Forgetting the mission. Remember it. Remember who you are becoming. A Stoic is not built in comfort. A Stoic is built in the cold, in the dark, in the quiet spaces where no one claps and no one sees. And that's what makes the Stoic unshakable. Because he has not been built by others. He has been built by choice, discipline, and daily courage. You will get tired. That's normal. But never forget, tired is better than empty. Pain is better than regret. And solitude is better than applause. Because in that silence, in that solitude, you'll find something no crowd can ever give you, the real you. So keep walking. Keep climbing. Do not settle for being liked. Settle only for being true. The top of the mountain may be far, but every silent step you take, without applause, without reward, is shaping you. And when you finally look back, you'll realize something powerful. You didn't need the applause. You just needed the climb.